thank you so much for coming on to the Internationalizer podcast. Could you quickly tell me a bit more about yourself and what is it that you do for a living?
Hi. Thank you for your invitation. My name is Anja Schibert and I come from Slovenia. Slovenia is the only country in the world that has love in its name. So I really like to emphasize that on every podcast that I am. Wow, what am I doing? My background is in recruitment and I was a headhunter. I was also, in sales and marketing. And then eventually on my path, I started merging everything what I learned with energetic principles. So basically now I can introduce myself as a founder and CEO of Human Empowerment Agency for Reconnection and Transformation. And what does that mean? That means that I'm merging energy and strategy focused on career and purpose and business. So yeah, that's kind of
Brilliant. That sounds really exciting, and I'm sure I have a lot of good questions for you. The first thing that I sort of wanted to ask you is what does authenticity mean to you, and how has its definition changed for you through the years?
Yeah, good question. Well, a lot of people are triggered when they hear the word authenticity because the different meanings, everybody thinks like, oh, yeah, authenticity is bullshit. You cannot be really authentic. And I say, you know what? You can be an authentic asshole if you want to be. Because the most important thing is that you feel okay, that you're like, okay, I'm this. I want to show up like this, and I don't care what people think. Yeah. So, and this is like really authentic approach. And it doesn't matter like how you show up. It's only matter for you, not for the rest of the world. And authenticity is uniqueness. I always say like, hey, just look at your hand and look at your finger, look at your fingerprint. Okay, you have a unique fingerprint. Why? Like, nobody else in the world has the same fingerprint as you have. Why? Yeah, just to leave this unique imprint in the world. And that's an authentic imprint that you are leaving, in the world with your energy, with your experiences, with your, how you show up in the world. So yeah, I mean, I'm a advocate for authenticity. I like there's one thing, it's authenticity, and the other one is the other side of it, it's bullshit. Whatever it's not authentic, it's bullshit. So basically, I also help people, to burn their bullshit away. Because
I love this perspective personally. The fact that authenticity for you means about what kind of unique imprint can you leave on the world, or what is it that you can give to the world that nobody else can, but you and yourself essentially.
yeah, yeah, because we are always selling ourselves, we're not selling our services, we are not selling our products, but it is like, we show up. And okay, from my perspective, it's not about selling ourselves. Like, we should be buyers. Yeah. We should be like, okay, I like this, I don't like this. I'm gonna accept this, I don't want to accept this. Yeah. Like, this is one perspective. But on the other perspective, it's like when you show up, and it's like, yeah, you are putting up yourself out there. So more authentic you are, more, I would say, better people, like the really the easier will be in your life. Yeah, if I can say it like that. Because like, you will not have to invest energy into pretending, and you will not have people who are pretending around you. So
I completely agree. I think when you wear a mask or when you're not true to yourself and you pretend every day you wake up, whether it be in your personal life or your professional life, and you go out and you pretend, it gets draining. I think that's what it is. You can keep it up for maybe
exhausting.
time, but
Yeah.
it gets exhausting, as you said. And I'm sure you've heard it from your recruitment and sales background. I come from a sales background myself, that a lot of times, you can follow a script, you can follow cadence, but ultimately people buy from people. So people will buy from your personality. So you need to be true to yourself, and actually, in order for yourself to actually go out and succeed.
Exactly. And one more question, like, did I offer you my presence on your podcast? Was I like, when we were talking on LinkedIn, like, hey, I'm so cool. Like, do you have a podcast? Can I be on your podcast? Did I do that? Did I do that? You see, that's the thing.
Exactly. The second question for myself would be, how would you advise? Because I've seen this a lot. How would you advise somebody to remain authentic or be true to their authentic self while also sort of meeting expectations in a professional setting? For example, somebody works in a corporate job. So how would you advise them to remain authentic while still being professional, as the word goes?
Yeah. When I work with people, it's, I just say, just go all in. Yeah. I mean, there are steps, of course, like there are steps, like you have to reach a certain point that you feel comfortable, like show up just who you really are. and it doesn't matter, like the frameworks and expectations of others. But when you are starting to think about like, oh my gosh, like, for example, just like really practical example, I don't know, you wake up in the morning and you have really bad day. Maybe, like as a woman, you have your period, like everything hurts you. Or as a man, yesterday, maybe, you were in this pretty uncomfortable date or something happened or whatever, and you don't feel good. And then you have to go to work, and then you have to be there with a smile on your face. Maybe you're working, with I don't know, in a hotel or his hospitality or whatever, but you don't feel like it, So basically, you have to pretend. And whenever you can, you go to the bathroom and you cry your eyes out. This is really exhausting. So I always say, like, put yourself first, seriously, because you're not doing yourself a favor if you are trying to be likable, if you are trying to be accepted. Yeah. Sooner or later, it's going to backfire. And usually it backfires, like your nervous system is like completely crashed, or like your body starts saying, hey, this is not okay. I'm going to let you down if you're not going to stop this. So I always say small steps, like small, really, incremental steps, they can make a huge difference. But you have to decide. Yeah. And you have to ask yourself, is this something that I like? Is this something that I want? Is this something that that I can do? And yeah, just small steps and out of the comfort zone. Like, just stretch yourself a little bit. You don't have to suffer when you step out of your comfort zone. Yeah. Um, but definitely, yeah. And also, it's really important that you are not alone on this path. Yeah. Like, just find somebody, find a mentor, find a coach, find a guide, a friend, or whatever, professional help that, he or she can really guide you through this process, because it is a process.
I love that. I love that. I think it's also what we spoke about last time when I mentioned that if you're true to yourself, if you're authentic, and if you do your work diligently, as Carl Jung said, then people who are like-minded or people who follow the same principles as you, they would find you. So you'll never be alone in that pursuit of authenticity or any mission that you undertake in life.
Absolutely.
And my next question would be, what were some of the external influences, these can be social, cultural, or familial, that you had to unlearn to become who you are today? And how would you advise other people to do the same?
Yeah, another good question. So you're probably familiar with the term, so you mentioned unlearn. So it's another process. So learn, unlearn, and relearn. Yeah. And when we are in this learning phase, we are not aware of it. Our parents, it's education, society, now social media, so many things that are influencing, who we are, on subconscious level, especially. And then when we start working on ourselves, like just, going like within, like, inside, like we started scratching, like in our subconscious, and yeah, a lot of stuff comes up, and it's it's like we don't know what we don't know. Okay. But when we start being aware what is happening, like aware of our feelings, aware of our perception, it's like, oh my God, I don't feel comfortable like this. Like, maybe it can be different. Yeah. So basically, when you start kind of shifting your perception, how you see the world and how you react to things, then you start relearning. Yeah. So first it's like learn and then unlearn. So you have to let go of everything that you know, which is again very, very challenging process, because we are always really stuck. We are holding on to things that we think that they are protecting us, that that they are good for us. But in reality, it's really important that we let go, because that's the only way that new knowledge, wisdom, patterns, behavior can really form. So yeah, and again, it's easier if you have somebody with you in this process, whether that's regarding career, life, relationship, or just like your own personal satisfaction.
I love this perspective. And as you mentioned, sometimes you have to let go of old patterns. I think that a lot of people, they tend to repeat old patterns, or often, just to reiterate on what you said, a lot of people have self-limiting beliefs. So they create the limits for themselves in their own heads, and then they follow those limits as if they were something set in stone. So I think people need to sort of unlearn that in reality there are no limits. The only limits are the ones that their mind sort of sets for themselves. And in real life, you can go all in. You don't have to limit yourself to be any particular person. You don't have to fit into any mold that society or culture or your immediate group imposes on you. You can go out, be 100% you, be completely your own person, and you don't have to limit yourself by anything else.
That is scary. Absolutely, that is scary. It's not comfortable doing that, but it's possible. It's
Definitely.
very liberating when you start doing that. Yeah.
Yes. My next question would be, how would you advise somebody who feels trapped by maybe their immediate culture or society, and they would like to be more in touch with their authentic self? What's the number one advice you would give somebody like that?
The number one advice is just reconnect to yourself. So, first of all, when you start feeling uncomfortable, you just ask yourself, okay, what is that? Like, what is causing me to feel uncomfortable? Is that a person? Is that a situation? And then it's like, why? Yeah. So there's really powerful exercise that we can share with your viewers. So when you ask yourself 5 times why, okay, now you have a challenge. And then you say, why? Okay, and you get an answer. And you get again, why? And you go like deeper, deeper, deeper to like fifth level of why. And it's like, holy crap, like that's incredible. I never thought about that. But you have to be really honest with answers. But when you go deep and you ask yourself 5 times why, your mind will be blown. And you will get to that, sometimes you really get to that root cause. So it can change a lot.
No, that's quite interesting. And I wanted to ask you earlier, could you tell me a bit more about what is it that you do for people in terms of your business? How do you coach people? What's sort of your approach to coaching people that sets you apart from similar people, similar leadership or business coaches operating in the market? What's the top three unique things about you? Sorry to put you in the spot, but if you could tell me that, I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I'm gonna, usually I'm trying to be very practical here. So I'm just gonna be very, very practical. So, when you are, I'm gonna speak as a headhunter, as a, recruiter first. So when you are looking for a job, like when somebody's looking for a job, yeah, and they present themselves, oh, I was I don't know, a marketing assistant or marketing manager or whatever. I know this and this and this, and I have this skills and designing skills and I don't know, social media skills, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So all these skills, okay, cool. These are like, we know them as like hard skills. Yeah. But I also know now, I know, not as like I believe, but I know we also have spiritual gifts. We also have this, innate, like gifts from within that maybe they are, dormant, they are sleeping, we haven't activated them, or maybe, we had them, they were activated when we were children, but then we suppressed them because of society, because of expectation, because of external factors. So what I'm doing, I'm helping people to really wake up, those inner gifts and to merge them with their competencies, with their hard skills. Yeah. And when you do that, this is magical, really. And that's why, it's, I always say to people, like, when you are expanding your awareness, what is possible, when you are expanding your consciousness, when you are expanding your soul, you are also expanding quantum field of opportunities, of possibilities. So maybe before that step, you were only, I don't know, looking like focused on marketing manager, marketing assistant, I don't know, web designer, like graphic designer, whatever, like jobs like that. Yeah. But then when you expand your awareness, you see completely different picture because you see that these are all labels, but you really can do a lot of other stuff. So what I'm also doing, one of my favorite things that I like to do, with people, it's like to expand their awareness, to expand their consciousness, who they are, why they are here, what are their gifts, what are their talents, and how to present themselves, like without any bullshit, in this like really, really authentic version of themselves. And also I like to help people, bring all that into their LinkedIn profile and to build a massive, very energetically powerful network around them. So, yeah, that's kind of a gem. I mean, I do a lot of other stuff. So, energy activate, purpose mentor, and a lot of people now recently they've been telling me like, oh my God, Anja, since I started working with you, or just like since I met you, a lot of amazing stuff happened in my life. So it's like, okay, I'm a catalyst for expansions. Whoever starts hanging out with me, yeah, they can feel that.
That is so wonderful to hear. And I like what you said about creativity, that often people lose their sense or their personality's inclination towards being creative. I think a lot of people start out as creative, as a lot of children, most children are creative by nature. They're born creative. But I've noticed that a lot of times people grow up into adults, and what happens during that process of sort of going through adulthood, becoming a young adult, is that people sort of tend to lose the creative aspects of their personality. Why do you think
Even
that
know it,
happens?
it's like they think that this is the right thing to do. But then when you start feeling this nudge, it's like, oh my God, like there's a voice in me that is saying, hey, go this way, go this way. And you're afraid because it's like, oh my God, that way is not safe. It doesn't have money, it doesn't have support. Like what I'm going to do in this direction. But when you really let go, when you really surround yourself with people who believe in you, yeah, you will be taken care of. Absolutely. And new opportunities will show up.
I love that. I love that. I think what happens is that people are generally afraid of taking the road less traveled. People, I think inherently they would like comfort, so they want to choose the safest path possible as they're going through. And I think that prevents a lot of people from actually being creative and acting out their true self because they just want to be safe. They just want to remain in that comfort zone of doing what.
Especially
Right.
it's all about money, if we are completely honest. So it's like financial security. Yeah. It's like when it comes, like when we like really, really, when we are really honest about it, it's all like, oh my gosh, like I have to do this. I have to stay here because I'm getting a paycheck, otherwise I'm not going to survive. So but there are so many other options.
They definitely, I think most people, I think, would you rather be an artist or a writer and go down a risky pathway in life, or would you just take up the next job in sales or entry level marketing or admin that's available? I mean, no disrespect to people working in those fields, but I think it's about people following the safest path possible in terms of financial security as well. It's an immediate payout, is what it is. I think the salary is something
It
you get.
is. And absolutely. And there are advantages to this. I'm just helping people, to make that first step and merge both. So they can do both. Yeah. And then eventually they can pivot to whatever direction they want. But it's like you don't have to give up anything. Like you don't have to pretend that you are somebody that you're not, and hide part of yourself that you in reality would like to share with the world.
Love it, love it. Another question from me would be, because you've done leadership coaching and business coaching among other things for a while, could you tell me a bit more about what the best entrepreneurs or the best business leaders, and what are some attributes that are recurring in almost all the people that you've seen across as your clients?
Yeah, good question. So I don't like to call myself a coach, more as a mentor or a guide, because I'm guiding people through processes that I was going through by myself. So it's based on my experiences. But yeah, like, one of the most important thing in leadership is self-awareness. Because you are not self-aware if you are not aware of your emotions, if you are not aware of your reactions, if you are not aware of your perception, you cannot, if you are not guiding yourself as a person, you cannot guide, you cannot lead anyone else.
Right.
And also leaders, we are taught, this, like what we were learning is that leadership is guiding people, leading people. We are not leading people. You cannot lead anyone. You cannot lead anyone. But what you can do, you can kind of guide their energy, or you can, lead the energy, but not the person, because you don't owe a person. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like nobody, hopefully the era of enslavement. There is this modern enslavement, of course, in a lot of workplaces. But in general, nobody who owns a company owns people as well. So
Definitely.
yeah.
And the number one trait that I've noticed in all the managers who are not so good is they're not open to feedback at all. So that is the opposite of what I've seen in good leaders, in the sense that the good ones are always open to feedback. Okay, what is it that you think we can do differently? Or they'll ask their team, okay, we've been doing this or we've been following this process and it's not been working for us. Do you think we should change it? Do you think we should do something differently? But the negative leaders, or the ones with not so good mindset on leadership, would always be like, oh no, this is what we do, no changes at all, no creativity. And I think that is the worst kind of job that somebody can do. But I think leadership makes all the difference when you work somewhere, in terms of if you're being in terms of how you can be authentic. So the sign of a good leader is that you'll be able to maintain your authenticity while working. But if it's a bad leader, there won't be any chance of being authentic at all.
May I share extra perspective on this? Because I don't use the word me personally, like take it or leave it, of course. But whatever I say today is just, it's just it's my opinion. So whoever is listening, just take it or leave it. But I don't use the term bad or good leaders, because when we were talking about, like for example, bad leaders, bad managers, or bad people in general. For example, my greatest enemy, which I don't have, not like consciously. There are no people that I was like, oh, he's my enemy or whatever. But my greatest enemy is somebody else's best friend. Okay. Is somebody else's, I don't know, father, loving husband, or, mother, or a friend, or whatever. So it's all about perception. So basically, people who are doing that, who are leading in that way, they think based on their own beliefs, based on their own perception. They see this as the safest options for them. Yeah. So basically, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. There's nothing wrong, because we cannot see what is good for them. That's the only right thing. But for somebody else, it's, oh my God, that's wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. That's so wrong. It's like, for them, it's the only right thing. And they are so convinced. So it's not about, like, we cannot judge what it is. It's just like, okay, why did I find myself in this situation? Like, why is that person in my life? Like, how, like, what is he reflecting or she reflecting to me? Because relationships, when we find ourselves in certain relationships, we are mirroring each other. So, and that's another topic that we can talk about some other time. But when it comes to management, it's just, like, we have to understand that everybody has their own perception, how the reality works, how the relationship works. They feel safe in being nasty, in being like,
I agree.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. But deep, deep, deep down, I know a lot of these leaders, they're hurting. They are hurting. They have a lot of pain that they will never show. Yeah. So I always, like, whenever I meet a person like that, it's like, oh my God, yeah, this person must be hurting. But it's okay. It doesn't affect me or whatever. It's just like whenever I talk to people in a team and they're like, oh, well, our boss is so horrible, blah, blah, blah. And then I give them this perspective. And also, so what do you think is your lesson? What do you think, like, this person is teaching you? Yeah, whether that's setting boundaries, whether that's, self-worth or something. Like, there's gift in every situation. So yeah,
I
that's
agree.
my
I
experience.
completely agree. I think I like what you said about people not being inherently good or bad. I think it's a matter of perspective, and also nobody is objectively bad. As in, even if somebody is a bad manager, it does not mean that at deep down on a core level they are genuinely evil people or anything like that. So I think it's a matter of subjectivity. And the second point that I would like to make is what you said about self-awareness. So I think the recurring theme would be across leaders that you might perceive as bad managers or not so good quality of leadership would be a lack of self-awareness to sort of
Yeah, they are
recognize
not
their
connected
own
to
flaws.
themselves, to their soul. Yeah, to their heart. Exactly.
Well, it was a lovely conversation with you, Anya. And one thing I would like to ask is if somebody's watching this podcast and they would like to follow your journey more or are more interested in what is it that you offer, how would these people sort of find you and reach out to you? What's the best place for it?
Okay. Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Anja Zibert, like where we met.
Yeah.
Then rebelsrising.net. So www.rebelsrising.net. And I recently set up a new community on school platform. It's called Beautiful Badass Souls. And yeah, pretty much everything is happening there. And we have amazing, amazing people inside already. And it's a safe place where people can really show up who they are. So no masks necessary.
Perfect, perfect. I will attach all the links that you mentioned in the description as well so people can find it more easily. I'll attach your LinkedIn and the link to your website and your school community as well. And I would just like to thank you because I feel like it's been a really good conversation. I think the insights were really good, not just for whoever's listening to the podcast, but also for me personally. I love this conversation. I think we'll definitely have more of these in the future. And I would like to wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you for finding me on LinkedIn. So see, energies did their work. So
When you're authentic, people find you.
we find each other.
We find each other. Definitely love that. I love that. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Have a beautiful day.